Say what's cracking, YouTube? It's your boy 16 to life, and I'm back like I'm on a parole violation. You're down. Now, for those of y'all that's new to my page, in 1994, I got arrested. I was eventually sentenced to 16 years plus life, and I served 24 years straight in the California prison system. During those times, I accumulated some good stories and some good insight on things related to prison. I'm going to share some with y'all today. If you like the video, be sure to hit the like button, leave a comment, subscribe. Most importantly, hit that notification bell. That way, anytime I drop a story, you will be notified ASAP, and you can hop on it whenever you're ready. Also, if you want to binge watch, catch up on some of my older stories, and I swear I got the best ones, go to my YouTube playlist, scroll down, you will see that I have my stories organized into different topics, and you can definitely find something that you want. Now, here's a topic I'm about to cover that I haven't seen anybody cover who does the prison, genre, the prison stories, whatever. And this topic that I'm covering right here is, in my opinion, it's the best thing about prison, right? Outside of, well, I'll get into that, right? But for my situation, it was the best thing about prison, and that is being visits. So yeah, if you're gonna be locked up in prison, being able to see your family, your loved ones, and especially the women, because we love the women when we locked up, regardless of what y'all think, regardless of what some of y'all might hear, That's the best part of being in prison, man, or at least it was for me, being able to get a visit, being able to see my family, so on and so forth. So when I got to prison in 1996, California had recently took away family visits or conjugal visits for all lifers. So that was a downer, that was a downer. I thought that I was at least gonna be able to go to prison, and because I was married at the time, and get some family visits. But right when I got there, they had just stopped all family visits. Right before I left, they reinstated family visits for lifers with some certain special circumstances, right? You had to fit a certain curriculum, right? But at least they reinstated that, because that means a lot. Being able to go out there and bond and spend some quality time with your family. Now, of course, you're going to have a lot of people that's going to say, oh, well, you guys should have thought about that before you went to prison. And you are exactly right. But still in all, that does not take away from the fact that being able to spend quality time with your family, your children, it creates a better bond, and it gives the prisoners and convicts a better incentive to stay out of trouble, right? So, the way in order to get a visit in California, your family or whoever's coming to visit you, they have to fill out a visitor's form, and so they have to answer the questions on there and stuff like that. And if your family or your loved one or whoever's trying to come see you, if they happen to have any pending criminal cases and stuff like that, they'll be denied. Also, I had an Aunt Shirley who had been to prison maybe about 25-30 years ago, and so they had approved her to visit me. She had also been married a couple of times, and she had a name change. So after they approved her to visit me, every now and then, maybe 3 or 4 years, sometimes you might get a like a slip in your cell telling you that certain visitors or your visitors have to basically renew their visiting form. And so my aunt, who had been coming to visit me for years, once she came to visit me one time, and they told her that was going to be her last visit until she renewed her visiting form. So anyway, when she renewed it, they kept disapproving her. And she went for 2 or 3 years, 3 or 4 years maybe, without getting approved. So she finally contacted the warden, and then they approved her. So sometimes they will send you through the shenanigans, right? But I got a list of things that I want to talk about, so I can cover a lot of these things that I think is important, So like I said, getting a visit in prison for me was extremely, important to me. It's something that I always looked forward to, and it had me at my highest times in prison, right? So when you go on a visit, they'll call you, you'll get announced, and man, there's so much anxiety waiting for the public announcement system to announce your name. Because I think visits run from like 9 o'clock to like 3 o'clock, and then sometimes, so say you might be waiting on a visit and something major jump off, some major violent incident, and you won't get your visit. So you might be 5 5, 6, 7 hours away. Your family drive way down there and they waiting to get in and something happens on the yard. So that was always anxiety, waiting to hear my name called and stuff. And so, but when they do call your name. Sometimes you get to the visiting room. Sometimes your family is already out there. Sometimes not. But whenever your family shows up, you get one hug, you get one kiss before the visit, and then you get a hug and a kiss after the visit. You're allowed to hold hands as you guys sit down. The visit in California, at least, unless you are in some type of administrative segregation, the visiting room is in a big, like, open, like maybe like a gymnasium type thing or something that you would see at a civic center. So you're allowed to touch your visitors. You guys are their contact visits pretty much. And then so they have vending machines out there, of course, to supply the convicts and their family with food to eat. And so my normal routine is because a lot of times when they would call me, my family members would already be out there before I got out there. Excuse me. So what I would have them do is whatever items that I wanted out of the machine, I would have them hurry up and buy them, because a lot of times people will pre-buy items, and buy a whole lot of stuff, because at times the vending machine runs out. Sometimes they come and refill them, sometimes not, so you definitely don't want to be out there without any food to eat. Now the food was vending machine, food, depending on what institution, depending on what they had in the food, it varied. Sometimes you might hamburgers, chickens, burritos, sometimes vending machines had ice creams and stuff. My favorite thing was French fries when the vending machines had them, when burritos and stuff like that. I've never really been big on vending machine type of food anyway, that 7-Eleven type stuff. So I'm pretty much a picky eater anyway. So selecting food out of that visiting machine was always kind of hard for me. So when you go out on a visit, they have convicts who work out there in the visiting room, and they was known as porters. Their job was to sweep, to clean up, and also they also took pictures, which was cool. They had a Polaroid camera. You would buy a picture ducket. I believe your family would buy a picture ducket on the way in, and then you could go take the pictures with your family and stuff. So that was always cool, Depending on what institution you was at too, man, certain institutions, I know in Ironwood, I forget the exact yard, but because they have, excuse me, they have a main visiting room, then they would also have an outside patio. I've been in some prisons where they would have two patios sometimes, right? And so in Ironwood, I believe it was after 2. I think that was on a yard, maybe after 2. It was pretty much, it was I want to say, let's say, maybe freaky time or whatever like that, right? Basically, no kids out there on the outside patio. It was well discussed and known by all the races that, if you wanted to go out there with your girl and, get you some extra hugs and kisses in or whatever. And then also, Ironwood had around maybe 10 or 11, they had a little group that would come get the kids. And I believe they was connected to Angel Tree, which is a part of an organization that helps with the prison. But anyway, they would take the kids to a playroom or something outside or something like that, because like I say, sometimes, people be out there doing what they do. Man, I have definitely heard of dudes having babies in prison. Matter of fact, this one dude told me he had came from a level 4 prison. I don't want to name the level 4 just in case dudes is still down there getting it on, because I've learned from time to time guards even watch my page. But anyway, so you had like I said, the porters who worked out there in the visiting room, so of course they was in control of the mop closets where they had the cleaning supplies and the utensils to clean up spills and stuff like that, go get more paper towels or whatever. So if you was willing to give them sometimes maybe $100, $50 or whatever you guys negotiated the price on, if your girl had enough heart, they would sneak her into the closet. Then you could go into the closet and get your groove on or whatever. So one of my partners, he was telling me, man, he said he had so much time up in there, he was allowed to take his shoes off and chill. They had a little, it fixed up all up in there to try to make the people as comfortable as possible under those circumstances. And he had a baby down there. So, that was that was one of my goals, man, to, to get down there, because my points had ran back up at one point in time to a level 4. So I was definitely trying to get down there, get in that visiting room, but I never ended up making it down there. But also about the visiting room, for the most part, set tripping, gang banging, the racial beefs, all that stuff is off limits in the visiting room. With the entire 24 years that I've done, I never once seen anybody get into it in the visiting room in terms of different convicts going at it with each other. I heard stories of something happening one time in another prison, but I've never actually seen it myself, man. And I would say that the visiting room was the time where all the majority of the prisoners was the most human. All that racial stuff was out the window when people was out there with their family, man. People was talking, blacks and Mexicans. Oh yeah, man, this is my, if you were cool with a dude and you know him on the yard or whatever, hey, yeah, this is my mom, these are my sons or whatever. Everybody was joyous in that visiting room when it came time to, see their family and stuff like that. Now, when it comes to people who get approved for visits in California, there's no limit. So, I've heard some other prisons say, well, you can only have 6 people on your visiting list or 10 people. In California, it was no limit. So you could have, however many people chose to try to come visit you and fill out the form and get approved, right? Now, the bad thing about that is too, it's a lot of dudes in prison, man, is players. A lot of dudes have a lot of women, and so if one of your girlfriends was down there visiting you and another one showed up, they gonna let them right in, and I seen that situation play out several times where a dude would be in there visiting one of his girlfriends and another one would pop up. Some dudes would try to navigate that situation and manage that situation beforehand, and say, okay, don't come visit me today. We gonna have a basketball tournament or whatever, or don't come today, baby. You can come next week. You've been coming down here all the time. And sometimes that girl get to missing them, or sometimes the girl will get suspicious and she'll just pop up, and lo and behold, her man is out there with another woman. And sometimes they'd be arguing, hollering and yelling and stuff like that. I remember this one particular dude in Ironwood. He got caught up in a situation like that. One of his girls was down there visiting him, and his other main girl popped up. And so the visits go from about 9 o'clock to I think like 3:30, somewhere around there. So anyway, whenever they let us off whenever the visit is over, pretty much it's yard recall on the yard, meaning that everybody has went in or they're going in, and now it's time to go in there for count. The program is up until we have dinner and stuff like that. So when this particular dude got caught up on his visit, with these different women, because after a visit, we have to come back, we have to take all our clothes off, everything. I'm talking every piece of clothing you have on, you have to take off. You have to come out there, show them your hands, run your hands behind your ear, lift your tongue up, go up under your private parts, turn around, show them the soles of your feet, squat and cough a couple of times, and all that's done because the police are trying to make sure that you're not introducing any contraband, any drugs or whatever out there on them visits, right? And so by the time this dude who got caught, with his girlfriend went through all that procedure, when he hit the yard was, everybody was going back in the buildings pretty much. This dude just started jogging laps. I don't know what he was tripping on. He just started jogging in his prison clothes, just jogging laps. Eventually the guards had to come get him and try to take him in or whatever. I went on in, so I didn't see exactly what happened, but I know he was in the visiting room stressing and going through it and arguing with his girl and stuff like that. And so Another time I seen another dude, man, he got into an argument with his girl. And so his wife, I believe it was. And so she was leaving, now we can only go to a certain point out there in the visiting room, and another thing, they don't allow us to hold money. If you wanted something to eat or whatever, your family had to go purchase it from the vending machine. So anyway, excuse me. This dude get into it with his wife or whatever. They out there arguing. She ready to leave. She say, okay, I'm out of here. She bounced. She going through the doors where she leaving. So now he get mad. He arguing with her. He follow her all outside he dang near So you got to leave one door, you go into another room, and then when you leave that room, you're literally outside, but the prison like compound, but you're literally outside, you know. So he halfway to getting out there, they telling him, hey man, they calling him by his last name. You can't do that. Hey, that's my wife, man. Hey, that's my wife. Then this dude was a big old giant dude. He was built very similar to Mike Tyson in height and stature. You know, he was a big old giant dude, man. If anybody been at Ironwood, they probably know who I'm talking about. He used to be on AR, punching the bag all the time. Boop, boop, bop, boop, boop, bop, boop, boop, bop. He'd be punching the bag all the time. A black dude, man. So a lot of cats may know who I'm talking about, but that big old crazy dude, he pushing the guard. Hey man, that's my wife, man. Hey man, that's my wife. That's my wife, man. They said, hey man, you can't be out here, you know. And so eventually he calmed down, and I think she ended up coming back to talk to him. I can't quite remember. But another thing as far as clothes. So now on, you know, when a person goes on a visit, of course, a person wants to look as nice as possible in their visiting clothes. And, you know, we had numerous ways where we could iron the clothes, make the clothes look nice. So later on, when I got to Ironwood, which was a level 3, and probably some other prisons happen to have irons, but not always. So when I first got to Salinas Valley, so what they would do is they would wet the pants. You know, you'd wet them a little bit. You'd get some soap. You lay them flat. You'd get some soap. You'd soap them down a little bit. Then you'd lay them under your bunk. You'd lay them on the metal part. Then you'd lay the mattress on the pants. And then, of course, you know, you go to sleep, lay on the pants or whatever. When you wake up in the morning, they had a real nice crease in it, you know, a relatively nice crease, right? And then, like I said, in Ironwood, they had irons, and so, you know, you had dudes down there. You could iron your own clothes, but you had dudes down there who made it a hustle to iron people's visiting clothes, you know, because everybody don't necessarily have people looking out for them in prison. So some dudes went about that hustle. Then, of course, we also had the prison boots. You know, you had dudes down there who would also shine your boots and have them looking real spiffy when you was going out there on a visit. So, of course, when you took a picture with your family, you look real nice. Let me see what else I got for y'all, man. Oh, man, one of my partners, man, you know, okay, so also, I had a cellie one time who got married, and he got married out there in the visiting room. He wanted me to be the best man, you know, so I went out there because his wife was bringing one of her friends, and so she was going to be, you know, the whatever's equal to the best man, right? The bride or whatever it's called. And so, of course, you know, I wanted to go out there and holler at her and meet her and see what she looked like, right? But another one of my partners, whose name will not be mentioned, you know, this dude, he had a couple of women. So, you know, and that's the thing, a lot of those women come on the regular. So sometimes, you know, your wife or your girlfriend may come, and then she'll start bonding with some of those girls out there in the visiting room when they constantly see each other over and over. Then they may look up one weekend and see you with another woman. Oh, they be looking mad at you. The women, you know, because women stick together on that. They don't like seeing dudes dog another woman, right? And so I had a buddy, man, who had several women coming to see, man. And so he went out there and got married, and his wedding ceremony was in the visiting room. So everybody out there seen it, right? About 2 or 3 weeks later, his other girl come, you know, and so, man, he said you should have saw the stares and women was giving him, like, you dirty, bald-headed, no good son of a you know what, you know what I'm saying? You just was out here getting married with another woman. Now, 2 or 3 weeks later, you out here kissing on another woman, and they was upset. They was upset with my boy, man. He said, hey, chill, man. He said, if looks could kill, I would have been dead 1,000 times out there. He said, them women was staring me down, man, giving me the ugliest looks, man. You know, and like I said, women, they stick together. You know, some of them was probably thinking that this woman is getting up at 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, making these sacrifices to drive 2-3 hours to come see you, spending all this money. Sometimes they're, you know, depending on how far they was driving, some people, some women, some of the family members, they would get hotel rooms, you know, because if you driving 8, 9, or even 10 hours to come see a person, you know, only being able to spend 4 or 5 hours is kind of, you know, that goes by fast. So some people would like to stay over the weekend. And, you know, so women is taking all this in consideration. You know, you know, she's doing all this for you, and you don't appreciate it. You know, I'm sure that's how some of them was feeling, man. I remember so when I was out there on a visit with my family, and especially my wife at the time, it was the most joyous day ever. I made it a habit to enjoy myself, not to be out there arguing, to have fun, because who wants to be in prison and your family come and then you spend the day arguing, right? But I would see a lot of dudes out there sometimes arguing with their excuse me, this cough is whooping me. But I would see a lot of dudes out there arguing with their women, and I just couldn't understand it. Like I said, she drive up there to see you and stuff, and you out there arguing with her. And I definitely seen a few dudes eventually run their women off, because your lady is making a sacrifice to come visit you. Also, she's making a sacrifice to to be with you, not being able to have you on a daily basis, having to talk to you periodically, and then you have the nerve enough to get out there, argue with her, disrespect her, call her names. I seen this one dude throw some soda on his girlfriend, pour some soda on her head, and so dudes don't realize, man, you got all these dudes that's out there free, that have action at talking to your woman, communicating with her, taking her out on dates, doing things with her that you can't do, and then you don't even have the common sense to treat this woman right. And so not to mention, on top of that, women talk. Women are going to talk to their friends and this and that. So if, she's down and out because her boyfriend in prison dogging her out, eventually, her girlfriends are going, girl, what you with him for anyway? Forget him, girl, going out. And then not to mention, she's seeing her friends go out on dates, do a couple things. Eventually women get lonely, right? So, it just surprised me that a lot of dudes locked up in prison didn't have the common sense to be extremely respectful of their women when they came to visit them. But anyway, that's pretty much. Oh, you know what? The last thing I got also too, of course, sometimes you'd be out there visiting, and like I said, the police, when we leave, they make us, get naked and all that old type of stuff. Well, a lot of dudes go out there. And, well, I wouldn't necessarily say a lot, but you do have a lot of contraband that's introduced from the visiting room. That's no secret. The guards know that's where vast majority of the contraband and the drugs come in, and all the convicts know that too, And so especially once, if your name gets hot, you'll have guards out there watching you. Guards will be in little certain spots watching you, or they may be behind these one-way mirrors watching you. And it was always kind of sad, man, to see the guards all of a sudden rush out there, 4 or 5 guards, and go to a certain convict and tell him, hey man, get up, your visit is over. They go over there, handcuff him, walk him back. Sometimes they would put like a paper bag on his hand and stuff and put him in a little suit. In the event he had some drugs, they was trying to make sure he couldn't get rid of the drugs anywhere. They tape the bottom of his pants up so he couldn't he couldn't drop whatever drugs they may thought that he had on him. Then they'd walk him back, and they take him to the hole, which is known as administrative segregation. And then for 3 days, they'd have you on potty watch. And pretty much potty watch is where you're in your cell, you're handcuffed in your cell. And every time you have to use the bathroom, you have to take 3 number 2s before they let you go. And every time, so you have I guess, like the chair has like one of those chairs, maybe like the older disabled people to sit in or whatever. It's not a regular toilet. So you take a crap in the little commode thing they'd have hooked up, and there would be a guard who would have to then retrieve that and dig through your feces to make sure you hadn't swallowed any drugs or you hadn't hooped any drugs. Imagine having that job as an overtime job or whatever. That definitely was a nasty job, man. And so you would sit out there and you would be on potty watch for 3 days, or however long it took for you to use the bathroom 3 times. And so they could check and make sure you didn't have nothing in your system. And I'm sure that was like a nasty job. But once again, for me, going on a visit was always a joyous moment for me. It was always exhilarating and exciting for me to be able to see my family, spend some time with them, and just get away from Just the everyday monotonous routine of prison, doing the same thing every day. I'd go out there, I'd be able to drink a few sodas, eat all the candy bars I could eat and stuff like that, because even though the vending machine food wasn't always the greatest, it still was steps above what we was getting out there on the prison yard. So anyway, you already know who it is. It's your boy 16 to Life. Resume normal program.